What's up, YouTube? Well, I'm gonna look at a big one. This one's hot off the press. Just came off the boat, and we're gonna look at it right now. I saw this. They debuted this. They're talking about doing this. Talking about Greenlight. 1/18 scale long life vehicle, Grumman. So they're gonna do our Postal vehicle in North America. Canada and Mexico also took delivery of these vehicles, but the biggest order by far was by USPS. They ordered over 100,000 units, and they were produced between 1987 and 1994. So if you're a certain time frame growing up, you've seen these cars, these vehicles all over the place. Let's take a look. And we'll show the difference in scale. Of course, there's our 1/64 scale model that we've looked at before. And now here's the new one. This thing is incredible. And it does a lot of movement. There's a lot of moving features on this, so you can see the size difference. We talk about white paint a lot, how it's applied to a lot of our die-cast cars and a lot of ghosting. Well, they must have primered the base on this because the white is really well applied. There's no ghosting. There's a lot of rivets. There's a lot of panel gaps, and we're not seeing any lifting on the paint. So awesome, they took the time to do that. Solid axles, doesn't have any steering, but rest of the detail is all there, and we'll take a look. We're just going to do a quick walk around, and we'll talk about some of the detail. So they started out with Pontiac's 4-cylinder 2.5 liter Iron Duke, and by 1987 it was fuel injected. They had throttle body fuel injection, and then towards the end of production they moved on to the 2.2 liter or sequential port fuel injection. That was what GM was moving towards in their 4-cylinder front-wheel drive cars, compact and midsize. I mean, we had all the Pontiac and Buick line, Chevrolet line using that motor. It also was in the S10. But going back to Iron Duke, 1982 introduction really into a lot of vehicles. They used it in the Camaro and the Firebird early on. Then it moved on to cars like the Sunbird, Cavalier, Skyhawk, things like that. J-Series cars, Celebrity, Olds used it as well. If you're familiar with this vehicle, a lot of you get die-cast cars. They're not always at the store, so we always wait for this vehicle to come by the house or wherever our residence might be. They got the little fan in there. So they did the steel wheels real well, using the tires that they've used on the Monaco. Pretty much the same tire. So S10 chassis, S10 small Blazer chassis, not K5. We're talking about S10 Sonoma, S15, that kind of vehicle. 2-wheel drive, 3-speed automatic from General Motors as well. So it's a TH183 speed. And like I said, they had a 2.2 later on, but really started out, majority of them 2.5. And you can hear the difference between the way those vehicles run with the two different engines. Sliding doors on both sides. Now these would be a full aluminum vehicle. Grumman won the contract for this when they were bidding on it. And again, production started, vehicle entered service in 1987. You can see the General Motors 2-spoke wheel. They have column shifted automatics. Steering column out of the GM products. Signal switches and gauges. But Grumman did the rest. They got the chassis. But they really kind of pieced together their own deal. Reading some updates on this online, they had the 4-wheel drive rear end. So this rear end is wider, has a wider track than the front. And so this is actually narrower on the real vehicle. It doesn't look narrower on the diecast when you flip it over. We'll just take a quick look. Nothing too much to see. But yeah, this is what your chassis is going to look like. It almost looks like this is on the same plane as the rear, but in actuality this is going to be a little bit inset slightly. Of course, they did do that with the chassis here. You see how they kind of kicked it out, but even though it was a 4-cylinder vehicle, they made these two with the gearing support up to 1,000-pound capacity. And these are quite big. I mean, they look small because of the short wheelbase. These were supposed to be designed to do a tight turning circle for some of the environments that they have to carry. No air conditioning, unfortunately, but you got power steering and brake, I believe. And heat, although the heat, I guess, is known not to be the best. And of course, it's hard to climate control a vehicle like this with a system under the hood that's really not up to it. The other thing that was a problem with this vehicle after it entered service was, besides having the extreme climates not being the best, unfortunately, the traction on it, being two-wheel drive, wasn't very good. Now, it's supposed to be a roll-up door, but Greenlight just made a solid piece, and you just kind of pull it up there. I will draw attention, though, before we look inside. The lighting is done very well. Now, the later upfits we've seen, they started out with regular bulbs, but now they have LEDs running on these, and you can see that on a lot of them. The lighting got upgraded, but there it is there. So you can see the detail there. They have that painted gasket material around the lights, and of course the different patterns of the lenses. And then we can draw ourselves inside. We can see the cleating and the racking is all done in there. We have the table, what's next to the driver, where they can put up to, I guess, 3 things of mail boxes or totes or whatever they use. Of course, if you ever got a glance in there, you'd see a lot of those plastic postal bins. We have the diamond plates rub strip there. Now that's painted in there, but I think when you look at this for real, I know this is painted black, but I thought this was all aluminum step or steel step. So I know the seat's black, but that's the one thing I thought was a little bit different. Also, the lens detail here, just like the real one where they point out. Pretty cool. Tampo work is exceptional. And of course, you know, we're not probably, after almost 30 years plus of service sometimes, we're in 1987, we're about 30, right? 27, 30 years, something like that. Do the math. They don't look as clean as this model, but again, there's the lighting, lenses. So they look good. A little flashing there that I can take off later. But very, very little ghosting, like I said. Maybe just a tad red around here and there. There's the familiar front that we're all used to seeing coming down the street. And then we have all the mirrors. Corner mirrors, and then when you're backing the vehicle up, you can see that through here. Because when that gate is closed in the back, you really can't see behind you. And this is really before cameras. Exceptionally well engineered door. This is metal. This is not a cop out like piece of plastic. And it locks in decently. It has kind of a friction fit, so you can drive it and it won't flop around. And there's a better look at this side. And look at that fan. Just amazing. Look before backing. There's a great detail of the speedometer and the pedals. So, you could definitely pretend that you're driving one of these down the road, playing with them a little bit. And again, you could see the size difference. She big. Just a cool vehicle. So, Postal LLV, or Grumman LLV, this is just a Postal version of it. They're going to have the Canada Post that's going to be out version for people that want to get that one. And of course, they've promoted the most is the version, the Cheers version, where Cliff's vehicle, where he started with the predecessor, the GJ5. We all know the right-hand drive CJ Jeep with the hardtop. We've always saw those, and when I was coming up, that was the first mail truck that I used to look at. And some of them were painted dark blue. They were before they painted them white. They look like that. The other thing, too, I learned was kind of interesting. I guess the first digit is supposed to be the last digit of the year it was made. So they were made from 87 to 94. So supposedly that's supposed to be 1990. If someone in the Postal Service knows about that, let me know. I read about that. It's kind of cool. So we all know that postal vehicles in the United States, they don't have registration and license plates. It's a government organization. It's a federal organization, but it's independently, has its own funding through mail carrying, even though it gets subsidized by the government. But all its revenue comes from the services that it provides. So in closing, we'll look at the box. It's a huge box. It's not a styrofoam box. It's a window box. And it just highlights how big the car is. How wide it is, I guess, is what they had to do. They wanted to protect it because of all the mirrors that hang out. And they didn't want us to put the mirrors on ourselves. Hopefully, they make a lot of them. I know a lot of the cars that we looked at that are 1/18 scale, they are sort of limited edition. But the serial number on this vehicle, and you can see some of that. Here, let me focus this. You can see this is all that white stuff from the glue. I haven't taken this apart yet. We're probably going to have to do that and look at it. But serial number goes pretty high. A lot of them I've only seen in the hundreds, not thousands. So hopefully they make a bunch of these. Prices come down. I'd like to get another one. It'd be cool to kind of do one and put graffiti on it or something like that and kind of weather it. But I do like the factory stock showroom as delivered status. I do like clean vehicles, so that'll be the first one. But hopefully they'll come down in price. We don't know. Or they might get sold out. I think this is going to be a popular one. No one does the scale right now. So, and there's some history there. That's very true. Now, this, because of traction issues, is not the sole vehicle that, a delivery to your house vehicle. They've used minivans, and they have the Caravan and the ProMaster van in use. They also have the Chevy Uplander that they secured back in the 2000s. They've used step vans. They used all sorts of stuff, really. And here's the barcode. Did we look at that? Here's your barcode. There's your copyright information. So, Grumman LLV. Wow. Pretty cool. Pretty cool truck. I guess we're going to have to show a fate this way because that's where the steering wheel is. It's fun to play at those doors, I must say. So, there she is. I think that's a familiar sight to a lot of people down the road. Pretty driving down the road with the little truck. Now their exhaust systems are almost shot, so those Iron Dukes are pretty loud now, at least in my neighborhood. Comment down below if you have similar experiences with these beauties and waiting for your diecast to come, the old boy to come out, or gal, and give you that nice package. Well, more to come. Some 1/64 scale we found recently, so we're going to take a look at those. But this was just too cool to share, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. More to come. And for additional content, check out Migs' Instagram. Till next time.